Hey y'all, welcome to the Liberation is Lit podcast where the power of storytelling meets the force of social change. I'm your host, Taylor Simon, and I am thrilled to be here with Dr. Charlene Sims to talk about financial freedom, financial literacy, and especially when it comes to the Black community. We're excited to talk about her book. Hello, Dr. Charlene. How are you this morning?
Great morning, my dear. I am wonderful. Thank you. How are you?
I'm great. So, to kick off our
Good.
conversation today, can you tell us a little bit about yourself as an author and a little bit about your academic background?
Yes, ma'am. First, thank you for having me. This is such a wonderful privilege to be afforded, so I thank you. My academic background, I have an associate degree in legal studies and computer information systems. My bachelor's degree is in legal studies. I have a master's in public administration, and of course, my doctoral degree in business administration. And it goes on from there. So I haven't quit. And so, yeah,
I know
I
myself,
haven't.
I'm trying to fight the urge, the Black woman urge to get another degree, but these student loans are like, you need to sit down, just read your books and be content. So, speaking
Yeah.
of books, can you tell us about your book, The New Black Wall Street, and the inspiration behind it? And how does this book and your studies influence the work you do today?
Yes, ma'am. The New Black Wall Street is actually my dissertation I prepared for my doctorate degree. And it is with regard to sustainability, collaboration, networking, all of the financial literacy aspects of entrepreneurship and becoming a business owner. So the book entails a lot of different topics to surrounding business ownership that I think we should, or I perceive that we should be prepared for, excuse me, when considering entrepreneurship. And in my work today, I am engaged with the public. So I encounter various people from different walks of life. And I see more so now that minority are wanting to become business owners. More minorities are wanting to become business owners. And in order for us to be lucrative business owners, I believe that, there are some things that we should know what obstacles may be waiting for us, or how do we overcome those obstacles, or what can we do to be proactive instead of reactive?
And I know personally, as an entrepreneur, I have faced those challenges as well. And I think the biggest issue for me that I'm facing is how much to charge for sustainability for both the business, but also myself.
Yes.
Usually in the podcast, you can see bookshelf behind me, but it collapsed last week because I have a bookstore
Goodness.
inside of my house. But this one is my personal shelf that's just overflowing. But I have to realize I have to keep a roof over my head for both these books and myself. So I am always trying to find that balance of, because I'm very community oriented, of how much to give away free to the community, but also like making sure I'm able to pay for this roof over my head for these books and myself.
Yes.
And
Yes.
in addition to that, just thinking about, I know in like my personal life, I'm afraid of debt. So I've been kind of doing this entrepreneurship debt free, and I am so appreciative of the community for leaning in for support. Could not do it without them. So that, and the business side was a learning curve for me, to say the least. I come from a social
Yes.
work background, so I did not grow up with a lot of that financial literacy piece and how to run a business, how to be an entrepreneur. So, why do you think it's important to talk about financial literacy, especially in the Black community?
I believe it is imperative that we discuss financial literacy, especially with our children. We have to just set the tone because with us and those our older siblings or cousins or family members, our parents could not teach us what they didn't know. So it's up to us to find the information, to gather the information and be able to apply it to what we want to do. And so I think it's very important that financial literacy is discussed. We need to go back to the dinner table and have those family meals and discussions. How was your day? Things like that. And let that the financial literacy come into play because we can't leave it to the school system. We can't leave it to someone else to do it. It's our job. And it still takes a village. And so it's not taught in school like that. So it's up to us, schools, and I'm not downplaying the school system. I want to make that clear. Not downplaying the school system or any person or group. I believe that they only scratch the surface in school. So in order for us, minority groups, to build our own Black Wall Street, we have to know the fundamentals. It's great to have a good foundation because if the foundation is stable, then when you're building up, that will be stable. But if the foundation is rocky or you're not, and we're going to encounter some things along the way, but again, being proactive instead of reactive. Reading is fundamental. There's a plethora of information in material that people don't like to actually pick up and read. They want it, some people want the microwave. They want it right now. They want the quick version. But it's the oven baked that has all of the information, everything meshing together as it should, and just, combining and making the dish tasteful, should I say. But I think financial literacy is very important for in the Black community for us to discuss and to let people know, how do you get there? How do you get there to financial stability? If you're not there already, what steps are to be taken, and it needs to be said by people who've gone through the process. Because if you were born with a silver spoon in your mouth, then I'm quite sure there's some things that you can still share with folk. But someone who's actually been there, done that, has more perspective. And I believe they have more compassion and empathy to the people they're explaining it to so that they get it. You take your time because everyone doesn't learn on the same level. Everyone just isn't there yet, but helping to get others there to financial stability, and creating generational wealth. I don't want to leave that out. Creating generational wealth because poverty is easily passed on, but we have to create that wealth and so that we can continue to build and to help our familial bond be strong and tight and help others in the community and not gatekeep.
Yes, I love everything you said about just being community oriented. And even when you said that the school system sometimes falls short in teaching these skills, because I remember in my economics class, I wrote Mother's Day
Mhm.
cards and we played the stock market game. And that was it. That's all I
Yes.
remember from that class in high school. And so it is up to the village to share knowledge and being able to even pool resources, because the demographic that you mentioned earlier about being born of privilege, they have a lot of the wiggle room to make mistakes. They can take risks when starting
Yes.
business. And for us, it's like, okay, it's this or nothing. Like, this is part of survival, or I'm doing entrepreneurship in addition to working a full-time job because I can't make ends meet. And so it's a lot of community building and knowledge sharing and support too, because not only do you need that support when learning how to start a business, you need that support when you start a business with like people
Yes.
sharing and purchasing and things like that. So that's super
Yes.
important too. And
Yeah.
so I know that this is really important work and it can kind of feel overwhelming to be able to share all this information. What keeps you going in this work and what keeps your passion ignited?
Well, I was told once, not long ago, that, not to try to save the world right now. So there are a lot of things that we can fix or we can play a part in to being fixed, such as unsheltered persons out there. How can we help them? For those who are in need of food, like in food deserts, how can we help them? Because there's enough food to go around. There's not a food shortage. There's enough to go around. And like if we think of some things that we can do for those who may be less fortunate, because we don't know the person sitting next to us could be a paycheck away from being homeless or hungry. And we need to help everyone who we possibly can or who we come in contact with. If we see there's a need or know there's a need, why don't we meet it? So we can give out blankets, we can give out lunch bags, we can give out, cook maybe a hot meal and set up somewhere and serve it. There are things that we are able to do. And although we can't fix everything at once, we can, whatever your passion is, we can work on that. Whatever your passion is, we can operate in that area. So whether it's cooking a home cooked meal, maybe giving out some free haircuts, and just however we can do our civic duty, operate in our civic duties to give back to the communities. And, I heard you mention like being community based and giving back, like a book we can set up. And I see in some neighborhoods, they have like the little house set up and have books in there. You can come by and take
Yeah,
a
the
book.
little free libraries.
Yes, and I love it. I absolutely love it. But whatever your passion is, and my passion is being in a position of help to assist in any way that I can. Yes, ma'am.
I love that. And I love what you said about we can feel overwhelmed trying to do everything at once, but there's
Yeah.
so much direct impact that you can make just like you said, handing out food or changing somebody's day by giving them a blanket or like supporting them. And I think personally for me, that is kind of what keeps me going is me being able to see the direct impact on like the
Yes.
interpersonal level. And I
Yeah.
know that is just as important as fixing systems and systemic things. So
Yes.
I love that advice. What have
Thank
you
you.
been reading lately?
I am all over the spectrum, my dear, from poetry to, I really love self help books. That's what I love, because we all have something that we can work on within ourselves, with us, versus looking at someone else to try to pick out fault. Everyone has them. None of us have arrived. So I love self help books that make me realize things about myself and that I need to work on or better myself in. And so we can all be better. And poetry, one of my favorite poet is Maya Angelou, because she is such a brilliant, brilliant mind. And I honestly wish I had the pleasure to speak with her at least once. Not now, don't come talk to me, Maya, but I think
I love Maya Angelou too. And have you read the book A Renaissance of Our Own by Rachel E. Cargill?
I have not. I have not, but it's on my list.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
I recommend that book to every single Black woman I encounter because and I think you would like it too because it's kind
Okay.
of self-help, it's memoir, it's the full title is A Renaissance of Our Own, a memoir manifesto on reimagining. And it's about just Black women being able to reimagine the lives that they want for themselves. And I love Rachel Cargill too because she is one of the Black women entrepreneurs that I very much look up to, the
Wow.
way she was able to build her I don't wanna say empire, but build her platform on both having public education be accessible, but also her nonprofit, the Loveland Foundation of giving free
Mm,
therapy to Black women. She
nice.
is awesome, and she talks about her entrepreneurship journey and stuff in her book, so highly recommend that to any Black woman
Yes,
out
ma'am.
there who loves self-help and is
Oh,
thinking about
okay.
entrepreneurship. Yes. So, yes, my last question for you is what coming projects do you have going on?
Well, I do have a few more books to pen, and they're up here. I just need to get them out on paper. So both fiction and nonfiction, but I will share with the world the story of my life. And each of us has a story to tell. So I'll share that, and I'm quite sure it can help someone else. It can be a testimony to help someone else along the way who may have or who may encounter some of the same issues as I have. Without a test, there's no testimony. And what we know isn't just for us, it's to help somebody else. We need to disseminate the information and to help others. That's what it's all about, love and charity. And so I have a couple of things that will hinge off of the new Black Wall Street. And one in particular is just gathering the information and putting it out there about the Black Wall Streets that have or do exist. So there's more than one, the famous one in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And we want to get that story told as well, because there are people who don't know. And that will is only a piece of the puzzle that will show us from where we came and how we used to dress and carry ourselves and the business mindset that, you know, our ancestors had, and just to move on and matriculate through life and just build on what you have. Build on what you have. Everyone wasn't created to be rich. I mean, we're rich in other ways than financially. If you have good health, you're rich. If you're in your right mind, you're rich. If you have love and people who genuinely love you and who you can call friend, you're rich. So we have to look at being rich in more than money. And we have to learn the value of the dollar versus being in love with money, which is the root of all evil, which can cause you to go left, which you should be on the straight and narrow. So money is a motivator. I understand that. And it takes money to run a business. It takes money to live. We have to keep good character and just persevere and keep our eyes on the prize. And when we come into the knowledge of who we really are and to get ourselves together, if this changes, then the whole scenario changes. But we have to have a different mindset and carry ourselves in a way that is pleasing to the Most High, if I may say.
That was just so amazing advice. Thank you so much for sharing all
Yes.
of that with us. And I will link the where you can get the book, The New Black Wall Street, especially from Liberation is Lit, and support Dr. Charlene. And where can listeners keep up with you and your work? Do you have any social media, website?
I am on Facebook under Charlene Sims. I always will post any new and upcoming things that I have there. I am a business owner as well. Time is of the Essence LLC, which is a legal document prep business. So if anyone wants to look me up there, I'm on Instagram and TikTok and Facebook.
I will link all of those in the show notes so you can find Dr. Charlene. Thank you so much again for sharing this wisdom and this great conversation. And thank you,
Thank
listeners, for
you.
being a part of the Liberation is Lit podcast. If you have stories you want to share, want to suggest any topics, or just want to connect with us, you can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at Liberation is Lit, or visit our website, liberationislit.com. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider leaving a review. And remember, your voice matters. And together, through the lens of stories, we're going to make a difference in the world. Until next time.